So our runs are probably, we're going to stick to 3 wineries within a run because that's a full 5 hours, 6 hours for our driver. And if we price it per run, you would basically pay for the vehicle and the amount of time that you're going to be out. So it's one price, and then it would be up to the people in the car to split up that cost however they want. So if it's 2 people, they split it 2 ways. If they can pack a van, they split it 11 ways. Per person would just be a per person price. I think that's the most difficult route.
No, I think it's the per person might be more difficult just because it would be per route. But ideally, our website currently has different routes already, pre-packaged routes basically, but or loops, if you will. And I think 3 would be the max because then you're wasted after 3.
Yeah, we don't want that.
It is.
It's 9 o'clock. It is a good morning, and it's a great day to be an entrepreneur. So you're here at 1 Million Cups to learn more about that. And before we get started, point your phone, go back.
You're good.
Point your phone at that QR code or at the QR code that's on the cards on the tables in front of you, and that will let you check in at the Kaufman Foundation and let the Kaufman Foundation know that our chapter of 1 Million Cups is thriving and we have a great audience. It's not entirely work on your part for nothing. If you check in on 3 separate occasions, you'll get a pin. Check in on 6 different occasions, you'll get the coveted 1 Million Cups notebook. So keep coming and keep checking in and it'll pay off for you. All right, here's our mission. We want to make it easier to be an entrepreneur. So you need things as an entrepreneur. You need education, resources, and connection. And we provide these for all new and aspiring entrepreneurs throughout the United States. And we have a national and a local mission. The national mission is to found chapters of 1 Million Cups all across the country, which they've done. They create a consistent program by training the organizers and providing a back-end software. And it's up to the organizers to highlight the uniqueness and the unique strengths of each community. And I think we do a great job of that here. All right, we are the top 1 Million Cups chapter in New Mexico, and we achieved that by having a small denominator. There are other chapters scattered throughout the Southwest. If you're on the road and it's 9 a.m. on a Wednesday and you drop in at any one of those, you'll find the format familiar, you'll find the questions familiar, and the people aren't strangers, they're just friends you haven't met yet. So you will find a consistent format all across 1 Million Cups, and you can go to a bunch of different chapters by Zoom as well, including those outside our time zone, so you don't have to miss this one. Okay, here's our key pillars. These are presentations, not pitches. So in a pitch, there's something you want. You're presenting your company, your product, you're putting your best foot forward, and you want something in return, either investor dollars or you want customers. And so, you know, necessarily out of, let's say, economy, you leave out some of the challenges that your company is having, or those things that you don't know how to do, or the things that you're worried about, because you're trying to make a successful pitch. Well, here it's quite different. Here you're looking for help from the community. And so it's time to open up about your challenges and vulnerabilities and the things you don't know and the things you need help with. And that's what we're here for. And we're run for the community, by the community. All of our organizers are volunteers, and we do our best to make this hum along. So we're radically and intentionally inclusive. We want all kinds of people here. We want all kinds of entrepreneurs. We want mom and pop shops that have a brick and mortar operation or even a food truck. We want whiteboard companies that have just got a little bit of outside funding. We want companies that are in market, and we want companies that have gone all the way and have got big external funding, and they're here to show us how it's done. All of those companies are welcome here, and we have something to learn from all of them, and we have something to teach to most of them. Okay, this is again about our mission. Remember, this is an educational opportunity for everybody. So if you're having a good conversation with somebody who knows more than something, more than you about something, you should ask good questions and go further. And if you know a lot more about something than the person you're talking to, let them ask good questions and be as helpful as you can. Occasionally, you will hear someone make a statement that you strongly disagree with, and that would be a great opportunity for you to keep your opinion to yourself and foster a friendly atmosphere. All right. I know I struggle with that tomorrow. That's why you're laughing. It's like, I should be telling people that? Yes. All right. So it's easy to apply to present. Yeah, do what I say, not what I do, okay? Apply to present. It's easy to apply to present. If you have a company, a for-profit company defined as a company that sells goods or services for more than it costs to produce them, you're welcome to present here. We'll apply, give you a coach and all that. We prefer that you were in existence for 5 years or less. We do make exceptions for that. And we prefer that you have a product in market and you've sold to someone besides your mom. And that just helps because if you're still grappling with what you're going to do or what you're going to sell to people, we can't be that helpful. So, you know, those are the guidelines, but if you think you'd benefit from presenting and you step outside the lines in one or more of those areas, talk to an organizer anyway, and we'll probably let you present. Okay, this is our organizing team. I'm Paul Sutter under the text there with Equiseek. Lisa Atkins over here with Fat Pipe. Eric Renz Whitmore keeping everything running in Santa Fe. Danielle, not here today? Nope.
Not here today.
Okay, well, she's a terrific organizer as well. And Keiko and Oscar are making other people look good. And under the text here, you can see there's a blank. So we are still looking for additional organizers. If there's something you think you would bring to the organizing team that we don't currently have, so connections that we don't have or knowledge that we don't have, talk to one of us. We have a couple people who are having conversations with us of what they might bring to the table. So I hope we're going to be able to put somebody's picture there.
Maybe some clarification on that.
You do need to apply online to be a presenter or not a presenter and a coach, so, or an organizer. So if you're interested, talk to me and I'll show you what you need to do, but that's the first step. And I haven't gotten any applications.
Okay, so we've had good conversations, but nobody has pushed the button yet. All right, so there comes a time in life when you really have to commit, you know, like these two. Okay, it's
Sorry, you made us.
I did. They were conscripted. It's a pleasure to thank our sponsors, Fat Pipe. We've been here rent-free for 10 years. There's no way we could have a thriving Million Cups without the generosity of Fat Pipe. Dry Heat Photography, Deanna's here making us look great. More Than Organized. Oh, where's Miriam? She's a regular too.
She's not well. She just texted me. She's not well, so she won't be here today.
Okay, she's not well, but the cream is. And
Out of cream.
oh, we're out of cream as well. Okay, so you can learn to drink it informatics style, just black, no sugar. That means you don't have to wash the cup. When she's here, she does More Than Organized, organizing your stuff, your thoughts, and providing creamer. Foundation for Sustainable Living is our coffee sponsor. Beyond Energy is for people who want more than caffeine can deliver, and there's cans of that back there. And Noventum Custom Software for software that doesn't suck, and Minuteman Press for all your ink on paper needs. They've done these cards that are sitting around on the tables. So again, thanks for our sponsors and thanks for joining us. And I'm going to hand it off to Lisa, who will introduce our presenters.
One of my favorite topics today, hold on, and I'll bring up their slide deck. Can you guess what my favorite topic is? Wine. Today, we get to hear from some wine entrepreneurs. So please welcome Alicia and Andrea to the stage. By the way, I hit them up last week and I don't have a presenter next week either. So I'm going to let them tell you how easy it was to prepare and how much fun we had and the promises I had to make. Yeah, so we're going to drink some wine and I'm going to take a tour. So I'm supporting their business, but I need a presenter for next week too. So come on up, ladies. Hi, everyone. So yes, we were, they kind of begged us to come here. So I don't know how ready we are. So be kind.
We'll get through it.
Yeah, we'll get through it. But we are with Winding About. My name is Alicia Curson. This is Andrea Wilson. And our mission is to provide unforgettable wine tours that celebrate New Mexico wines one sip at a time, because wine is also our favorite subject.
Yes, Alicia and I met at a women's TEDx event here in Albuquerque several years ago, and we became fast friends. Years later, during COVID, our households were isolating, and we were both working remote. So we had a lot of opportunity to just hang out, keep each other sane, and drink wine. And so but this time was really a gift. We have a solid friendship. We now travel, we socialize, and we own a business.
So, who we are, I am Alicia, as I mentioned. I am native to New Mexico. I was born and raised here. And I always played fake business when I was a kid. I would buy invoices and receipts from Big Lots when I was a kid, and I would sell pretend products rather than play with dolls. So I guess I was a natural entrepreneur. And after I graduated from college, I moved to Los Angeles to pursue a career in sales and marketing, and I sold sales product. And I always knew I wanted to own a business, but I was too afraid and I never knew what I wanted to do. So several years later, I transitioned my career to sales and marketing of people. I became a corporate HR recruiter. So I started doing that for a while. And then in 2014, I started a business with one of my best friends. And we started a recruiting search firm, and that was growing and thriving, and I'm still doing that. That business is still okay. It kind of slowed down during COVID, but what didn't? And then I was able to move back to New Mexico. I always wanted to come back home and be closer to family, and still growing the business. Most of my business is not in New Mexico. But then when I met Andrea in September, not in September, but her and I went to wine tasting in September, and we did a wine tour, and that is where Whining About bloomed. We thought there isn't any wine tours in New Mexico, so let's do this. And here we are today.
And there is actually a wine tour company in northern New Mexico, but she doesn't come down to Albuquerque very often. So we are the only active, well, from what we understand, this is information that the wineries have shared with us. We're the only active wine tour company in Albuquerque. I'm a native New Mexican as well. And my professional background is insurance, specifically commercial transportation. So I help companies just like ours navigate the insurance process. And I've been doing that for 20 years. And I've known from a young age I wanted flexibility in my work life because I also wanted a family, which I have both. And the agency that I worked for, I was lucky enough to have a lot of flexibility while I was raising my kids. But as a human in my 40s, naturally I started thinking about how I want to spend my my last professional years. So last year I quit actually it's a little before that. I quit my desk job. I still have my affiliation with the insurance agency, but I also opened a travel agency, and that's thriving, doing well. So when the opportunity to own a wine tour company came up with Alicia, it was an easy yes. It just complemented all of my current projects. And, Alicia is already my social coordinator, and I love logistics, so it was a great fit.
So our value proposition is we want to offer luxurious wine tours throughout New Mexico. We want to make it all inclusive, not just a transportation, because people could take Uber for that. We want it to be where people are buying an experience, right? More and more people want to buy experiences rather than product. So we want it to be all inclusive, and we're working with local wineries to offer the best tasting opportunities in New Mexico. So right now, where we are, we currently are partnered with several of the wineries across New Mexico, or mostly Albuquerque tasting rooms. When we brought up the idea, they loved it. They thought it was great, and they are all more than willing to partner with us. So we have some great connections there. We have also some connections with local organizations like Visit Albuquerque and New Mexico Wine Growers Association. So we're continuing to make those connections, and Ken here is doing a lot of connections for us as well. Thank you, Ken. Also, we have a fully functioning website with a booking portal already ready to go. And it's an amazing website that Andrea has worked on. And then we have insurance capabilities and capable drivers that are willing and ready to start doing our tours for us.
Some of our challenges, we don't have many, but they're the big ones. We're still working on our pricing, just trying to figure out the best pricing for our local community and tourists coming to visit New Mexico. Do we price our runs per person or per run? We're kind of leaning toward per run, but would love to get a little help with that. Financials, we we're not sure if we should buy or lease a car. We are a black car service, or at least that's the idea, the original idea. So we want nicer vehicles. If we buy or lease a car, we're looking at a 7-passenger car. For any tours that are less people or more people, we have a relationship set up with Avis for rentals, and we can rent those under the business. And that's discounted, which is amazing. And then the marketing. Marketing is kind of a big one. We know that we have to put a lot more money back into the business, and marketing would be a priority. We really don't know where to start, and we've gotten a lot of good ideas, so we are open to suggestions.
So that's us in a nutshell, and we are open to questions or comments, advice, all of the above. So if you want to ask a question and you're here in person, just form a line next to me. And if you're online, raise your hand or let me know in chat and I will call on you. I'll ask the first question on per trip or per person. What does per trip mean? And how many wineries could you visit, or how many tasting rooms could you visit in a day in Albuquerque?
So our runs are probably, we're gonna stick to 3 wineries within a run, because that's a full 5 hours, 6 hours for our driver. And if we price it per run, you would basically pay for the vehicle and the amount of time that you're gonna be out. So it's one price, and then it would be up to the people in the car to split up that cost however they want. So if it's 2 people, they split it 2 ways. If they can pack a van, they split it 11 ways. Per person would just be a per person price. I think that's the most difficult route.
No, I think it's the per person might be more difficult just because it would be per route, but ideally our website currently has different routes already, pre-packaged routes basically, but or loops, if you will. And I think 3 would be the max, because then you're wasted after 3.
Yeah,
We don't want that.
Good question, thank you.
Hi, thanks. This is a suggestion. You might want to, Paul Sauter with Equisec, so the etiquette is to introduce yourself. So you might want to think about partnering with hotels. So people come from out of town and they ask the concierge, what is there to do here? And, a bottle of wine discreetly slipped to the concierge here and there, would do a lot to lubricate your
I like that
marketing
one,
efforts.
yeah.
Right? Thank you.
Thank you, good suggestion.
Yes, so we are working with, partnering with different people like that. So hotels, Airbnb, the travel agencies, New Mexico, film industry. Anyone else? I guess. Yeah.
Hi, good morning. John Patrick, Enchanted Lands and Amazing Life. Lisa and Paul both kind of stepped into my question, so I'm gonna have to reformulate it quickly. Do you have a map of your route that people can actually see? And then on that route, do you have like the driver or whoever is doing the tour, like talk about the scenery and kind of talk about the background in New Mexico? Because I work in the rafting industry up in Taos, and that's a big part of the job. It's not just guiding the raft. It's like, oh, here we are in the Rio Grande Gorge, and look at the geological here. It's, 1 billion years old and over here. And so you go through this whole thing and it makes people more interested in the local scenery. And then when they get to the location, they're like, oh, now I have all this cool,
So we do have we're starting a map. We have an actual map for the Mexico wine growers that has all of the wineries listed, and we've sorted out loops. So like 3 wineries in the South Valley, 3 wineries in Old Town and Nob Hill. We'll have a Corrales loop, North Albuquerque, and eventually Santa Fe and southern New Mexico. Our drivers, right now, we went back and forth with that. We think that we'd like our groups to connect with each other during our drives. So I think we're going with our driver will be knowledgeable enough to answer the questions. My husband comes from a transportation background. He was the operations manager for Roadrunner Shuttle in Santa Fe for over 20 years. And so he has a lot of that knowledge just in his brain. So we'll probably make that a little bit of a requirement of our drivers to at least have a knowledge of the city and maybe a little wine. But in our van, we put games, like get to know you games. So people who are on tour can actually get to know each other better. And then our wineries will do the tastings and the history, because we don't want to be repetitive. We don't want to tell them information that they're already going to get on the tour. We will be promoting the wine clubs. We'll have wine club brochures in our folders, and we will promote those on the drive, and people can walk away with those as well.
You got it.
Yeah, so how long is each tour? Because of, you have different routes and, you know, the wineries are located in different areas. Some can be quicker, or some can be longer depending on the distance. So what is the average length of the tour?
So far, the average length of the tour is 5 hours. It'll be 6 hours for our driver, who's there, you know, driving to and from. And we're spending about 1 hour and 15 minutes at each winery, with the exception of one in the middle of the day or the beginning. It kind of depends on what time the tour happens, but we'll have an optional charcuterie. And so if people, we're not making those, we're gonna have a vendor that makes those for us. If they order charcuterie, they'll have an extra 15 minutes. So 1 hour and a half max. And so the total tour for the guests is 5 hours. And we're gonna try and keep it to that. There's also an option to build your own tour on our website, though. If they want to go longer, they will have that opportunity.
Well, do you have your website listed on your credits?
Yes.
Okay.
It's at the very.
Yeah, I definitely want to check it out, and I might have some ideas I can share with you, because I spent some time up in, you know, about 7 years up in Taos County. And I performed at a couple of the Bebop, and, you know, I know Chirapata and Black Mesa,
Yeah.
you know, and it's such beautiful area to drive around. And then it's kind of like, oh, and then they make wine locally, you know, like the
Right.
grapes, most of the grapes are produced here in New Mexico. So you have all that information on your website. Well, I'm looking forward.
Thank you.
Good luck
Appreciate
with
it.
everything.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Hi, Brian Steiner, and Inventum Custom Software. So I think, you know, many of the previous questions illustrated this strategic concept of an alliance, right? Teaming up with another business. I know people that are travel coordinators for the film industry. I think that would be perfect. When I was doing Airbnbs before it became heavily regulated, I tried to get one of my nicest units with them, and they say, sorry, Brian, it's not nice enough for the film execs. So I think that would be a good thing to talk to in line, you know, with that strategic goal. The tactical would be film travel, would be hotels, these other things.
Absolutely. Thank you. Very good
Thank you.
suggestions.
Yeah.
Yeah, the film industry, I think, has been kind of the top of our list for a while. Since we're still working on the relationships with the wineries, we're good. That's our priority, just to make sure we have working relationships that are mutually beneficial. And then we're going to go toward film.
Hi, Clifton Chadwick, Comunicaciones Culturales. One of the things I get to do is help with the balloon fiesta. So I have a question about what are your plans and who you're going to coordinate with during the balloon fiesta. They have a whole glamping thing that I think you might want to glom onto. And then I also want to express a concern. I'm a step-on guide and somebody else is the driver. And I don't think you should have your driver being peppered with questions or having to engage in a conversation. I really think you ought to consider a separate role for that.
Okay.
Yeah, very good suggestion. We did a tour in Cancun, and that was the situation. We had a driver and we had a passenger that was giving direction. That's why I think we're leaning toward not having our driver. We're like not going to advertise that he's a tour guide. If they ask him a question, you know, as long as he's a experienced driver, he can answer any questions about the local scenery.
But that won't be his responsibility.
Hi, my name's John Boersma. My question is, what are the nearest comparable companies? That is to say, maybe you've looked at wine tours in nearby states and what have you learned from that?
That's a fun one. I think we can both answer this one. So my experience with wine tour companies in New Mexico is from the insurance side. One of my clients is New Mexico Wine Tours. She's an amazing lady, and I've taken her tours. And so she, you know, I think I picked up a lot of what we do from her, and I'm in contact with her, and I'm having active conversations with her about our business and the insurance industry. And so there's really not much beyond that in New Mexico. I guess that's the short story.
But your experience.
So I've been to several in different places, mostly California. And so we have been doing a lot of research to find out what they're doing and make sure that we're doing things the right way as well, and maybe being a little bit more unique, being that New Mexico is more unique. But we are trying to figure out, the biggest thing that we're trying to figure out is pricing, as Andrea said. So we're looking at different places, different tour companies, mostly in California, and that's why we're trying to figure that out. Obviously, it's more expensive in California, but car insurance is just as expensive here. So we're trying to figure out what the right amount is to charge. But yes, we're definitely doing research and trying to go to as many wineries as well. On the job training.
Yep, so maybe one more question, which is,
Hold the mic closer.
thank you. Maybe one more question, which is, you were describing, you were thinking through, is this per person or per tour? And I'm just wondering, why not both? Why not have public tours and private tours? And in particular, I'm wondering if you look at, I don't know if you have, but there's, for example, there's an app called Get Your Guide. And it seems to me that if you were on Get Your Guide, you would have a virtually guaranteed revenue stream, although perhaps at reduced margins. They probably take a pretty good cut. But yeah, that was my question is why not public tours and private tours?
That's a really good question.
Well, the thing is, if we do per person, if there are only 2 people, I mean, we're still paying the same amount for the car, whether we rent it or lease it or buy it. So our monthly payment is going to be the same no matter what. And then insurance is one amount per year. And then so we're breaking that down. So if it's per person, our revenue is not going to be as high, right? So we might even be losing money if we keep it per person. If there are 2 or 3 people on the tour, we'll just be losing money. So I think that's the biggest issue with doing that. If we do it as 1 per tour, then if it's 2 people, they still have to pay the amount no matter what. And that covers our costs for insurance, gas, the driver, all of the above.
We also don't want to limit our tours to like a minimum of 6 people. If 2 people can afford our pricing, then we would want them to join us, right? So that's another reason I think that to go for total tour price.
My name is Andrew Moser. I'm with Sacred Patterns Acupuncture. So my question is, I was thinking about like other potential revenue models with this. Is there potential like profit sharing with wine sales, or I know that there have been other like shuttle companies in the past that they sell advertising space. I mean, obviously, if you don't own the vehicle, that might be a little bit of a challenge. So maybe like a brochure or something that each participant gets. So have you thought of these things?
We haven't thought about the profit sharing, but we've already discussed having a branded folder in the car that each person would get, and they would get we would include the brochures for the various wine club memberships, and then also maybe like a branded pencil or pen with a wine tasting notepad. So we could definitely think more about that.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's a really good idea. We'll have to talk to the wineries about that. Our first goal was to get them in line with us and to get them excited about what we're offering to them, and then getting a discount, because as we mentioned, we want it to be all inclusive, right? So right now, if you go to a wine tasting room and you pay for a flight, with us, that's going to be included with the whole, it's going to be all inclusive. But that's a great idea. We'll definitely think about that.
I think that there are a lot of wineries out there that might be excited about that proposition, and because they've, in our conversation so far, they are all very excited. We're bringing in business to the tasting rooms, so they're giving us tasting discounts exclusively for Whining About. They've given our guests bottle discounts, merch discounts, I imagine would go there. So yeah, well, we gotta think bigger, I think, on that one. Thank you.
I'm gonna bring up Miriam real quick from, Miriam, are you well enough to talk to us?
I am. So two things about the pricing. I think you could do by run plus charge per person for the experience. So there's a base price per run, and then depending on how many people, that's where you make a little extra. And rather than including each different winery's already existing membership, which isn't a terrible idea, but what if you also created your own that would include from all the wineries, even ones you didn't go to that day?
Yeah.
Just some thoughts.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks, Miriam. Okay, come on up.
Hi, I'm Graham Jarabek. I'm relatively new to New Mexico. Spent about 15 years in Asia Pac, have a background in account management and operations in the technology sector. So this seems like a wild idea. I mean, to me, when I hear about it and hear about the pricing, my first thought too was, why not do both? I guess when as I hear you talk more, there's a feeling that everything has to be private if it's by car. Because if someone shows up and they say, I want to sign up for a wine tour, you could obviously do it. But you might have to say to them, okay, great, we have you penciled in, we'll tell you the price later. And I think when most people buy things, they want to know the price. So it's a little bit harder unless you find two people and you tell them, okay, we'll do it for sure. The price I think maximum is this, but you may get a reduction if we get more people. Which is sort of, I mean, it's still sort of an interesting concept. But I think one of the key things that I keep thinking about is volume. So how do you ensure you have enough volume? I don't know the tour sector. I mean, what's interesting about wine in New Mexico is I don't think of New Mexico as a wine place. So in California, you could just roll into Sonoma or Napa and probably book a wine tour. You could do it online ahead of time. That's a big destination place. I guess France, et cetera, also big destination places. But for me, I don't know how big New Mexico will ever be as a wine destination. One of the people talked about tours. I do think New Mexico is known for the outdoors. And it just may be possible to do something where you have like a high-end picnic. Of course, the temperature, you have temperature issues in both the summer and winter, but just something where you do that, but maybe also getting involved with some adjacent tour businesses, maybe working with restaurants or other things where you can book tours, you can get more volume, you can theoretically buy a car or lease a car for a more affordable rate and have that as an ongoing thing, but also have wine involved. So you could do a combo wine tour restaurant type thing, or a walk wine tour restaurant type thing, something like that. Well, thank you. Sounds very exciting and good luck with it.
Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate that. Really good suggestions. Clarification on the per run pricing, that price would not fluctuate. We would have one price for one specific loop in a certain amount of time. Again, it would be up to the people to divide that amongst their guests. But for example, if they wanted to do the South Albuquerque wine loop, $550, or and then that price is already online. The group leader, whoever's planning that tour, charges it to their card, and then it's up to them to split the difference. So having both could work. I mean, thank you, Miriam, for that suggestion, because I think there's something there that we got to think through. The other thing is New Mexico is an amazing place for wine. We have close to 40 wineries right here in Albuquerque, and the New Mexico, right? And not very many people know that. One of my very best friends is part of the New Mexico Wine Growers Association, and as a photographer, I photographed the wine festivals for years. And so fun, so amazing. Like, these wineries are really working hard. There's some good wines out there. They're getting better. Little bit of history. We have the first grapes in the United States. They grew right here in New Mexico. If you get an opportunity to go to the convention center, go visit the fresco that is being created by Federico Vigil. It's the history of wine, and it's right there in like a beautiful staircase. So yeah, that's part of, like, we want people to know that we are amazing and we've got good things happening. When it comes to the wine, we're also amazing.
Yes, we are.
Good morning. Glad to see you here. I'm Barbara Dawson with Purple Mulch. And I had a question about the per person for the group. I mean, I'm from here, so if I were to, it would be my husband and I would say, hey, let's go do this for for an event. So I'm glad to see the conversation coming up with, do we do it one way or several ways, and what are your opportunities? The other thing I was thinking about, because you're talking about owning vehicles, leasing vehicles, renting vehicles. There's a man that I know that makes magnetic signs that you could have those and put them on whatever vehicle you're driving. If you want the advertising as you're driving around, or people may come up and say, can I get in the car?
Yeah.
But anyway, it's an idea. So good luck to you both.
No, thank you, thank you.
I thought that would make us a target for like police officers, because in big groups, someone's gonna try and sneak something on the van. But I think that's a great idea.
And we did consider that, and we're still playing around with that because initially, when we thought about this business, we wanted to make it like a black car service, some more luxurious. So we keep going back and forth if we're gonna have advertising on the car.
But maybe our personal cars.
Oh,
too.
our personal
Yeah.
cars, yes, but the actual tour car, we're still playing around with it, but yeah, we've been thinking about it.
Anybody else? Anybody else?
Will either of you be in the car
No.
upon request?
Well, with our friends. Yeah, upon request,
If
yeah.
I want to drink with you?
I will never say no to a wine tour.
Yeah.
We know you, we're gonna be there.
Okay. Awesome. So we have two final questions, red or green?
Red. I'm New Mexican, I have both in my blood.
And we've heard your challenges, but what is the one thing this community can do for you today?
I think you guys have done amazing, giving us a lot of advice that we are going to consider. Again, the biggest thing is pricing. Do we buy or lease a car? That's the biggest thing that we need to figure out. So, but thank you all for the advice and suggestions.
Oh, he says I should have asked red or white.
Red or white?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Rose.
yeah.
Yes, exactly.
Red or white?
Again,
Let's
again.
ask Lisa, red or white?
Oh, depends what I'm doing and eating. Yep.
Depends on my mood.
Same with my chili. Yeah. Okay, that's great. Round of applause.
Thank you, everyone.
Ladies, thank you for letting me hit you up last Wednesday and presenting in a week. Who do I get to pick on today for that?
Over here.
Time for an update? No, I'm not asking you to present now. I need you to present next Wednesday.
I guess I was voluntold, so I'll work on that.
All right, any newbies? Are you? Yeah, you look like a newbie. Come on up. We'd like to have you introduce yourself. Just tell us who you are, what your business is, and how you heard about 1 Million Cups. Yeah, just come around here and form a line, and let's hear your intro.
Hi, everyone. I'm Val Romero. I was here years ago. Lisa, we met briefly. I know Trish, so yes, I love what you guys are doing. I've noticed the queen of networking. I know a lot of people in town. I don't know everybody, so it's cool. I knew two people right when I walked in. Jay, I see you too. But I've been producing and hosting quality networking events in Albuquerque for over 2 decades through a venue called Women Make a Difference, because we do, right? Men are still invited. But this Friday we have a luncheon, we do coffee conversations, and I'd like to move into a speaking and teaching, consulting kind of thing, because I've learned a lot of stuff about networking over the years. There's a lot of people that don't do it right. I have the assumption they do, but they don't. So anyway, I know about 1 Million Cups, and actually Aaron invited me today. So
Good, you should write a book. Maybe present here.
I will.
We'd love to have you.
I've been wanting to.
Okay, I'll show you how to do that next week, yeah.
Good morning, I'm John Boersma. I work with organizations on the leadership, strategy, and organizational issues around bringing AI and machine learning into their operations to improve their competitive position and margins.
And when are you going to apply to present?
Maybe soon, I'm thinking about it.
Okay.
This might be a good opportunity. Thank you.
Hit me up, I'll tell you how. Hi.
Hi, how's it going? My name is Austin Holmark. I'm a mechanical engineer and I'm looking at starting my own engineering consulting firm. And so Lisa actually put me in touch with Wes the other week, so I'm working with them to get the legal structures and set everything up in place. So hopefully I'll be up here in a couple of weeks and we'll get going after that. Thanks.
The engineer I wanted to introduce you to just said yesterday he'd like to meet you, so I will make that introduction as well.
Thank you very much.
Because that's what we do here at 1 Million Cups. We're a community and we help each other. Let's see, Paul, I could do a few events, I guess. I don't have a whole lot, but. Let's see. Eric's actually been giving you guys a few in the 1 Million Cups newsletter. So if you haven't signed up for that, make sure you do it. He usually sends that out the day before or the morning of 1 Million Cups to let you know who's presenting. And he usually has some statewide stuff that I don't know about. So his emails are great. Founders Syndicate, pitch yourself. So this is an event where you get to pitch anything you want, your business, yourself, that you need a job. It sounds like fun, and that's going to be April 15th at 4 p.m. 4 to 6, it looks like, at Q Station. Activate NM. I have a misspelling there. It's Activate Speed Mentoring for Entrepreneurs. Quick advice from experts. I think they moved that online, so it will be a Zoom event. NMTC, I've been talking about this after their Women in Tech celebration. They're doing a gathering with all of the honorees. If you want to go have some wine with the honorees, you can register for that event. Go talk to those amazing women. The inaugural space event, also by Activate NM at the rail yard. Signups are available now, and I have provided a link. And then obviously Catharsis Media is still here weekly. They're videotaping our sessions. You could go and watch your 1 Million Cups presentation on their television channels and online. So we thank them for partnering with us on that. Okay, Paul, it's all you know.
Awesome.
Yes, anyone have an event?
Got
Come
more
on up.
events.
I got flyers to the events that I've been
Okay.
talking about students.
Thank you.
The local event along with our resource fair. Information is on
You
the
don't
flyer.
hear, they can't see you online, so. There you go.
I have flyers for the next event. Love Local. If you sell, want to buy, Love Local event, our local vendors will be there, free to attend. Please come out, food trucks, things of that nature, have fun. Hispano Chamber, flyer will be here. Resource Fair, also here in English and in Spanish. This one's in Spanish. I flipped around, but the other, you won't see the back. Anyway, I have them here, and this is May 13th, 4 to 7, west side of town at the community center on Montaigne. Okay, you guys got that?
Yeah.
Okay. Here you go. Well, no.
Ken's resource fairs are a lot of fun. We went to the last two. I met Brian, introduced you to 1 Million Cups. So check it out if you can. We're hosting a WordPress work along Tuesday at Ideas and Coffee from 6 to 7:30. So if you have a WordPress site, you have questions, you don't want to pay for a contract with us, you can come once a month and ask your questions for free.
You have a flyer?
No.
You don't have a flyer, it doesn't exist.
Well, it's been another great week at Million Cups. Thanks again for presenting on short notice. And see, you were ready. You're like, you had plenty to talk about, and there's plenty that people had to say to you. And I just want to add, years ago in San Francisco, I had an opportunity to go to a seance, right? And the seance was, the tickets were sold at a magic store, and, they knew I was a magician. So, I go on this tour, and, you're walking through all these fine old hotels in San Francisco, and they're telling ghost stories. And people are saying, Martha, we got to come back and stay at this hotel, right? And on the ticket, there's discounts for a cab company, discounts for a restaurant, all of this cross branding, everything that you might want to do there except go to a seance, right, was on that ticket, right? So my suggestion would be to go on the ghost tour or go on the Albuquerque history tour and just see, does anything hit you from what they're doing that you could use in your marketing, right? So remember, if you steal from one person, that's plagiarism, but if you steal from many people, that's research. So I encourage you to do research And I would encourage all of you to do that. When I present at Million Cups, probably in a couple of months, I'll tell you how we managed to steal something from people who spend a lot of money developing it. And I'll just keep you all into suspense until that time comes. So between now and next week, let's see what we can do to lift up entrepreneurship, talk to some new people you haven't met, see if there's something you could learn from each other or teach each other. And I'll see you all next week.